Naji Marshall is shocking everybody. Although the Dallas Mavericks are sitting with a 4-3 record, we are above 500, so there's no real need to panic. But over the last 3 games, you could argue that Naji Marshall was an essential key player off the bench late in many of these games, where when it's fourth quarter, crunch time, we got a little bit of a lead or we're only behind by a little bit. Naji Marshall has been a player that we can go to, that we can rely on to help us out in those moments. With his on-ball defense, with his passing ability, with his court vision, his playmaking skills. Naji Marshall, also known as the Knife, a Swiss Army knife, is truly living up to that name. And last night, although we did lose to the Indiana Pacers, he did have a 20-point game where he looked amazing. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how great has Naji Marshall truly been, what does his teammates think about him, as well as we do have an update on Derrick Lively regarding his injury. But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavs Digest, bringing you the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started with this video, we're currently sitting at 14,212 subscribers, getting very close to that goal of 15K. Only less than 800 subscribers to go. So if you want to be up to date on everything Mavericks related, the live streams, the watch longs, the news vids, and everything else in between, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on a single thing that we do. But like I said, Naji Marshall has been an amazing player for the Dallas Mavericks, providing great defense, court vision, passing ability, playmaking ability, which really takes a lot off of the plate of Kyrie Irving as well as Luka Doncic, as we do have someone who can be our third ball handler. And a lot of people thought that was going to be Jaden Hardy, a lot of people thought that was going to be Spencer Dinwiddie, and although Spencer Dinwiddie did have a great game last night, and he also had another good game earlier in the season, Naji Marshall has shown to be a little bit more consistent over the last several games as a player that we can just rely on to bring the ball down and not cause a turnover. Someone where last night we went to several times to get a bucket and he delivered, only missing one shot the entire night. He was also 2 of 2 from 3. Naji Marshall, being a 3-and-D type player who with guard abilities, was a player that we knew what we were getting over the summer when we failed to get Derrick Jones Jr. And when we weren't able to re-sign Derrick Jones Jr., a lot of people were worried about our defense. We don't have a point of attack defender. Who's going to make up for that production? But a lot of people, like myself, knew that that player was Naji Marshall, where in some cases, like last night, he didn't really look like a Derrick Jones Jr. replacement or a Tim Hardaway Jr. replacement. He looked just like Naji Marshall. Maybe we weren't needing a replacement of these other players. We were just missing a Naji Marshall. And I truly believe that he can keep this same production up. Maybe not 20 points every single night, but what he provides in many different areas of the game is something that we will need every single night, as his team still somewhat struggles to really come out the games with good energy, come out of these games ready to play, as we're constantly having to fight back. But if we take a look at what some of the players are saying about Naji Marshall, well, let's take a look at his stats last night real quick. Naji Marshall had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, was 8 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 2 from 3. It was a +5. He was the only person with a positive plus-minus who played significant minutes. Naji Marshall definitely balled out, and I truly believe that we're going to have more games like this in the future. But if we take a look right here, Luka Doncic on Naji Marshall. Luka said, "I love his game. I think he's a very complete player. He can guard, he can bring the ball up, he can shoot. He's just going to keep getting better and better." Marshall finished with 4 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists tonight. That was the game against Orlando Magic, where I did go to that game, and Naji Marshall was amazing. He was everywhere. At many times, not even just so far this season, but many times throughout this entire season, we will see that Naji Marshall will have amazing games where his box score may not really tell the full story. He may only have several points, several assists, several rebounds, but it's when he scores, it's when he gets those assists, it's when he gets those rebounds, it's when he's playing great defense. That's what matters most. Obviously, we want to see him play great throughout the entire course of the game, but in those key moments when we need a stop, when we need a steal, like in Minnesota against Anthony Edwards late in the fourth quarter, things like that will happen for Naji Marshall. He does not shy away from the moment. He only rises to the occasion. But another good example of the stats not always telling the full story is if we take a look at his season averages so far. Naji Marshall for the season is only averaging 5.7 points, 3.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 0.1 block, 1 steal, 0.4 turnovers, and 1.3 fouls per game. He's shooting 45% from the field and 18% from 3. So just going off of this, yes, he looks like your average role player, nothing to really be excited about. He's shooting 45% from the floor, which is very good, but only 18% from 3, which I truly believe that's going to improve. He shoots 25% on corner threes, 100% of his threes are assisted, and 31% of all of his shots are threes. He was definitely a much better three-point shooter last year in New Orleans with the Pelicans, but now that he's in the Mavericks system, it's going to take time for him to really find his rhythm, really find a good shooting rhythm for himself, and I do believe that he found that last night against the Indiana Pacers. Like I said, he hit all his threes, he only missed 1 shot on the floor, he hit all his free throws. If we can get that same production night in and night out off the bench, along with Derrick Lively when he comes back, I think the Dallas Mavericks will be in a much better spot. But what are they saying about Naji Marshall? Let's look at some quotes. Daniel Gafford and Naji Marshall saying nothing really surprised me. I knew Naji was a baller I knew Naji was a baller the first time I played against him. He's real composed when it comes to the shots he takes. Feel like he can get pretty much anywhere on the floor, get any shot he wants, and he just facilitates for us the majority of the time whenever he's on the floor. He takes a lot of the pressure off some of the main guys. Like I said, we are kind of used to Luka Doncic taking on the bulk of all the work, right? We just rely on Luka to do everything for us. We get Kyrie Irving, and last season we saw how both of them can work in tandem, where Kyrie can take a little bit off of Luka's plate. Well, this year it looks like Naji Marshall is just ready to take even more off of Luka's plate, so Luka can focus on some of the other things and leave the playmaking and the ball handling, the court vision, passing, leave that to someone like Naji Marshall. Where I'm not saying Naji needs to start over Luka, but when Naji's on the floor alongside Kyrie Irving or alongside Luka Doncic, I think it's okay to let Naji bring the ball down. I think it's okay to let Naji facilitate an offense. Let him set up a play for Luka. Let him set up a play for Clay. I think if we can utilize Naji Marshall more than just a role player off the bench, but as a de facto six man who could also be in the starting lineup, so we run plays for him like he's in the starting lineup. I think in a Manu Ginobili situation, I think that could be our Naji Marshall. Now, no disrespect to Manu Ginobili, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying that Naji Marshall is Manu Ginobili, but if we play Naji like the Spurs played Manu Ginobili, I think that could really work out well for us. I know Spencer Dinwiddie and Jaden Hardy were supposed to be ball handlers. Jaden Hardy is more of a two guard anyway. He's not really a one guard. Spencer is kind of having an up and down start to the season. He had a great game last night, but we'll see how he looks like tomorrow. I think Naji Marshall could be the more consistent option for this team. But continuing with some more quotes, Jason Kidd complimented Naji Marshall's ability to push the pace and finish at the rim ahead of tonight's game. That was yesterday before the Pacers. And another quote as well, Naji Marshall on tonight's 20-point performance. Naji said, just being more and more comfortable. Guys put me in the right position to be at my best and have energy. And that's exactly what I saw the other night against the Orlando Magic. And that's what I saw last night against the Indiana Pacers. Naji Marshall looks more comfortable. Naji Marshall looks way more relaxed. He looks like he knows what he's doing out there alongside Luka Doncic, alongside Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, even with Daniel Gafford, just getting him lobs. Naji Marshall is the role player that we need. He's someone that a lot of people are saying should start. They're saying we should start Naji over PJ. I know PJ had a bad game last night, but I think PJ will bounce back. I think he's also going to have an up and down season for the most part. I think he's fine. But Naji Marshall being that spark off the bench is definitely something that we need. And since Derrick Lively is out with the very odd shoulder sprain that happened in warmups yesterday, I think Naji Marshall will be needed just a little bit more until we have a real timetable for when we know that Derrick Lively will be back. But speaking about Derrick Lively and his weird injury, it was reported after the game that Derrick Lively will get an MRI on his sprained right shoulder, Jason Kidd said. Sources have expressed optimism that it isn't a significant injury, and that's good because a lot of people at the start of the season were saying that Derrick Lively was injury prone. He only had one season, so I don't know how you call that injury prone when I'd argue he had a great rookie season. Yes, he missed games because of injury, but it wasn't like he took 2 steps and broke a pinky toe, Maxi Kleber. But all I know is that Derrick Lively is definitely needed for this team. I would definitely argue that we win against the Pacers if we had Derrick Lively, someone who can protect the paint but also protect the perimeter, as the Indiana Pacers were just shooting open threes as we just weren't guarding anybody all night. And I think Derrick Lively definitely would have been a difference maker. But if the team is optimistic that Derrick Lively isn't going to miss significant time, that is a good thing. We play the Bulls tomorrow. I think even without Derrick Lively, we should still be able to win. But if this team is going to continue to struggle, we need to make sure we make the right adjustments. Do we put Naji Marshall in the starting lineup? Do we start Derrick Lively when he comes back? Who needs to go to the bench? There's a lot of things that are up in the air right now, a lot of what ifs, but it is still too early. The team is fine. The team looks good. There's things that we can fix, but there's no glaring issue that we'll have to wait till the trade deadline to resolve. The issues that need to be fixed can be fixed now. Jason Kidd with his defensive sets, with his rotations in his lineups, Luka Doncic with his efficiency, needs to shoot the ball just a little bit more efficient, and a bunch of other things from the rest of the guys, mainly just defense and energy, and we don't need to wait for the trade deadline. We can do that right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think Naji Marshall is as essential as I think he is? Or do you think he's just another role player who's just going to sit on the bench? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. We can have a conversation about it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for making this far into the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Consider becoming a channel member. We are doing our giveaway tomorrow and during halftime against the Bulls. But if you want to be entered into our giveaways, all you have to do is become a channel member of any tier, and you're automatically entered. But until next time, y'all take care, drink water. Peace.